Create high converting UGC ads in minutes. This is probably one of the best AI implementations that I've seen in 2025 so far. And mind you, I've implemented over 150 workflows in N8N, and I run a top rated automation agency where I implement these flows for other businesses. But this one, unlike many other workflows, can generate huge ROI for your business, saving you a ton of time and money, especially if you're currently running UGC ads or if you're a marketing agency and you're running those ads for clients. You'll no longer have to spend after this countless hours trying to search out the perfect content creator and also hundreds of dollars on every single video with potentially mediocre results. You've seen it before where the creators get the offer wrong, they're lacking energy, and there's no consistency. But the workflow I'm going to share with you today pulls your competitors' best performing Facebook ads automatically. It writes out a repurposed script and then creates a realistic UGC ad at the end. So let's jump straight in. I'll tell you about what results you can expect and show you. We'll then talk about how to pull competitors' ads and repurpose them. And then finally, we'll show you how to turn that into UGC videos. So I'm going to quickly show you the type of output that you can expect from the different platforms. So first we've got ArcAds. So ArcAds has a great selection of different roles, etc. So if you wanted to advertise a supplements brand, for example, you could pick somebody in the gym. You could have a pregnancy product for somebody pregnant. You can have all sorts here. Pick all these different actors and we'll give you a sample of what they look like and what they feel like. And the outputs here are really good, but it is the most expensive option to access the API.
Ads. I'm one of the natural AI actors you can use for your ads. Tap any script you think will perform, pick some actors, and let the magic happen.
So you can see that that's a really good output based on that sample script there. We'll then jump to Creatify. So Creatify is also on the expensive side to use the API, but you're able to try out for free in the dashboard, not using the API, the different video quality there.
Was just about having a good password. Those days are long gone. The digital threats keep evolving, and so should your skills.
And this is actually a script we've plugged in, so you can see how authentic and good looking that actually this script is. So this would probably perform really well as an advert. And again, you have tens of avatars that you can choose from here, a bit less than ArcAds. And then finally, we have an output from Heygen.
Science? Yeah, me too. But here's the thing. Learning Gen AI doesn't have to be overwhelming.
So arguably the lowest quality results there for the UGC ad. It seems probably the least authentic, but the plus side of this is we can test it out with the API and we can actually use it. You don't have to use this model or this voice. You can still select all of that yourself. So if you want to follow along with the template here, you can go to school.com/scrapes, head to the classroom and go down to the plug and play templates for your business. And inside the publish recently section, we've got the create high converting UGC ads. You just need to download that file, open up your N8N environment, create new workflow, and all we're going to do is import from file there. And it will open up the 4 different workflows that we're going to show you through in a second. You've seen the results of this workflow in terms of the UGC video. Now let me give you a quick glance of what the results are in terms of scraping your competitors' ads. The first part is very straightforward. We are just going into our Google Sheets here, and we've got the URL in there. The URL, once you've got the template, you're able to just copy that template directly. We then say, okay, what brand ID are we scraping the Facebook page of? We're using Rapid API, which I'll show you in a second, to scrape the Facebook page links or scrape all of the links from a given homepage and then try and find Facebook from that. And then we use a second API scraper, but this time it's from Appify because it allows us to turn a Facebook URL into a set of meta, as in Facebook meta data, where we can grab the page ID from there. And the reason for that is we need it at a later stage. The page ID is then published back as this ad library ID here. I'll quickly flash up on screen the different scrapers here. So the Appify one we're using is the Facebook URL to ID, and the Rapid API one is this website social scraper API. So we've got 4 different workflows effectively here that make up the creation of high converting ads. And the reason we know they're high converting is because we take our competitors' most recent ads and we repurpose those. So we take ads that we already know and have the social proof, and we repurpose those ads towards our brand instead. So at a high level, we put our competitors into a Google Sheet. So we have N8N and Udemy here. The first section of the workflow is all about taking those profiles and finding, using a scraper, the Facebook URL. And the reason we do that is because we're looking for meta ads or Facebook ads. And you can actually adapt this workflow to do it for Google Ads and various other things. Later on in the flow, we have to use a Facebook page ID to pull all of the ads from Meta in this second flow here. So you can see that the first flow puts back into that table the ad library ID, which is the page ID that we then use to pull all of the ads. So as an example here, N8N came back as on the Facebook page, they've actually done no Facebook ads. So it comes back with no ads found. However, Udemy, as our second example, will publish in a new sheet. So it will create an entirely new sheet and it will pull the latest 10, 15, whatever we want to, ads from Udemy. And you can see that these are UGC ads. So we've got the brand ID here. We've got the archive ID, which we don't need to worry about. We've got the title, we've got the ad body, we've got the call to action, and then we've also got a link to the actual UGC ad. So we can actually click into those and see all of our competitors' ad. So that alone is really powerful because we can put as many competitors as we want in this list, and each of them will have their own section of ads they've published. So that alone is worth a lot because it will save you a ton of time. We then take it a step further and we transcribe all those ads. So we take the ads from the links you've just seen and we actually use OpenAI to transcribe those ads. We then perform a competitor analysis on those ads and add script that suits our brand. And you can adapt this to your brand voice or your resources or your website. It's all entirely adaptable to your business. We then go back and effectively publish a first draft of what could be a UGC ad. So in here, we've got the 3 different examples here. We've got titles of 3 different Udemy ads. We've got full copy, so 3 different sets of copy. We've got the status, which activates the next part. We've then got which ad it was referencing, including the transcript. And then we've got a breakdown of the angle, the hook, the copy, the CTA that the AI node has generated for us here. So we can see exactly the reasoning behind it. So you can see how this would massively speed up your work if you're continuously creating ads and you need an ad library to use to generate ideas. And then the final part of the flow, the bit that's going to cost the most in this, everything else is extremely cheap up until this point, is actually taking those ads and processing them with either Heygen, Arcads, or Creatify, like we showed at the start, and storing that video back in Google Drive so that we actually, next to our ad drafts, have a complete ad that we can click into, and you can see the example that we showed there once this is approved. So really, really powerful workflow. Now I'm just going to give you a very quick overview of exactly how those nodes work. Now to set up Rapid API, you need to go to the library. So this one's called Add Libraries. So you just set up an account again and you will have free access. I think there's 50 requests per month that you can do for free. You need to search the APIs for Add Libraries and find this one here. And then what you need to do is go to the relevant endpoint. So here we're using the Get Page Ads. And then inside here, it's going to show your API key. And all you're going to do to set up those HTTP requests are, you can see it's got the API key in there. you're going to go to copy, you're going to go back, you're going to open up a new HTTP request, and you can just import from curl, and that will set up everything for you, and it will have your API key down there. I'll obviously delete this API key afterwards, but that's how you set up the scrape Facebook page and the find video ads ones there as well. So let me quickly show you how to connect the Appify actor here. So if you're in Appify, you need to sign up for a free account. And then once you've signed up, go to the actor, and this one's called Facebook URL to ID. You're going to click try for free, and it's going to open up the dashboard here. Now, to get this running, you need to go to integrations, use API endpoints, and you're going to scroll down to run actor synchronously and get dataset items. Once you have got that, you just need to copy it from here. You need to take it back to your workflow, and then inside the Appify actor here, you just need to paste that in there. And on the end here, you just need to paste that in there. And then on the end, it will show your Appify API key. So you don't need the authentication type there. So the second part of this is grabbing the latest video ads that brand has published to Meta. So in our example of Udemy, we'd grab our profiles from our Google Sheet here. And if the ID here is not blank, we would loop over each of them one at a time and use another rapid API actor. And this time we are using the meta ad library scraper. So this is a really powerful scraper actually. And you can see it pulls from ad libraries, and we can actually adapt this template to pull from Google Ads. Meta ads we're already doing, so we're using the get page ads endpoint. We can pull TikTok ads, we can pull LinkedIn ads. So you can see how powerful this is as a single API that we can hook into. And it's also not just limited to video ads. If we open this up here, we're hooking into this endpoint here. We have the page ID, which we've passed through previously. We're just searching the US here, and we're saying, okay, just search Facebook and Instagram, but we can change that like we said. And then media types, we've said video, and we're just looking for active ads. We're not looking for their historic ads, but you can also change that. You obviously need to add in your own API key from Rapid API, but that's an overview of that there. For the media types, you can actually adapt this workflow to take all of their ads, take the imaged ones only, take the memes, image and meme video, whatever you want. They're then split out into individual ads, and sometimes some pages don't have ads, like the N8N example doesn't have ads. So actually it just returns and says no ads found, so that we don't try and process that any further. And then finally, what we're doing, we're creating an additional sheet with the name of the provider, and then appending all of the individual ads to a table like this. So we've got all of the information like title, ad body, the video links to the different ads, and you can click on those and see your competitors' ads. So already a really powerful script. The third part of the flow is analyzing and scripting UGC ads. So the first section, or the first two workflows, are all about getting those ads. And we use various different scrapers from Appify and Rapid API there. But actually the next half of the workflow is like, how do we use that content and create our own great content for our brand? So a similar starting point, we pull in the brand profiles, and we also pull in the ads from this list here, but we only want to pull in the few that we're interested in, right? So as an example here, I've filled out this called test here. So this is an additional entry after it created Udemy. I come in here, create a new column, put yes on any that I'm interested in. Any that I'm not interested in, I can leave blank, and it will only pull through the 3 there that I'm interested in. So that's what this if yes node is here. We then can actually just do a HTTP request to get the audio file ready for our transcription. So we just get the video file that's passed through, the video file link, and then we can pass it to OpenAI Whisper through the N8N node to actually just transcribe a recording. And you can access that by just typing in OpenAI or Whisper, and it will have a transcriber recording action here. Then comes the magic, which is actually analyzing the competitor ads and generating an ad script based on that. So we're using Google Gemini because it's quick, it's cheap, it's effective, and we're using Flash 2.0. And we've just got this prompt in here. You're an expert creative strategist. Your objective is to create a detailed audit of our competitor's ad video to extract actionable insights for refining our creative strategy. So take the competitor's ads, extract all the insights around the hook, around the audience profiling, the angle, the audience segmentation, and give us an output that we can work with in terms of a summary of that content. We then push it into a second stage, which actually just generates ad ideas, one per competitor ad. So you're a copywriting expert and you create voiceover scripts for brands. All scripts should be no more than 30 seconds of speech because we want these short UGC ads. Write a highly compelling ad voiceover script for my brand. And we then pass it the transcription of our competitor ad. And that's why we had to transcribe it before, but also the ad analysis so that this LLM node can determine how it's going to structure and what content should be in this script. So it talks about starting with a hook, then it says return the body copy, have a clear call to action, like click the link, visit the website. And then it says don't include anything that isn't in the script itself, because actually all we want is an output script that we can then pass into one of these providers to create a UGC ad for us. And you can see that in the ads draft, which is where it's put, it will split out the title and all of these different details like target audience, angle, hook. Like remember when AI felt like science fiction? Now it's your secret weapon for getting ahead. So that's the hook there. And then we've combined the hook, the call to action, and the body in this full copy, which we pass into our UGC APIs to create that video. So if you look in here, you've got the full copy of a 30-second script for a Udemy course, and it even advertises Udemy at the end. You can change the LLM prompts and put in information about your brand so that actually references your brand details rather than Udemy or another provider there. You or your team can then go through and say, okay, I'm happy with this one, or I'm drafting this one. But once it's approved, we can then pull it into the final stage. So the final part of the flow is actually pulling those approved ads only and generating them into videos. So we're only pulling the ones that we're ready with, we're happy, and we're awaiting them to be processed. So like we said before, you have an option here to choose ARC ads, which have these great flows here. Probably the most characters, the best flexibility, but also the most expensive. Creatify, which actually was $99 to use the API, which I think gets you 10-ish 30-second videos. I know that sounds expensive on the surface, but when you compare that to spending hundreds or even thousands of dollars on actual content creators and not being able to get the result that you want, this is significantly cheaper. And we had the example that at the start. Or you can just try this out with a cheap free trial of Heygen and get an example like this just to test the waters, just to test the scripts, etc. as well. So I've set this up so that you can actually just do the latter and actually test this with Heygen. And I'll just run through that. But I've also attached a flow down here to do this with Creatify. And then ArcAds is actually very similar as well. So these are just some helper nodes in case you actually want to try out Creatify or you're interested in actually producing these through Creatify as well. And I've linked to the docs here. So the main thing about Heygen is that actually, I guess it's a benefit and a con of Heygen. In the inputs here, we have to choose an avatar and we also have to choose a voice that's associated with that avatar. So if you sign up to a Heygen account, and you can get a free trial on this for the API, and what you can do is actually just go to avatars on the left-hand side here, go to UGC. They've started bringing out more of these, so I expect it to get better over time. And let's say we want to use George here, And all we do is go to George in the car. Whoops. And we go top right here and copy avatar ID. Make sure you copy the avatar ID and you don't copy the avatar group ID. That's not going to work if you do that. What we then do is just copy that avatar ID into our JSON body here. We then need a voice to go with it. So we can come into AI voices. You can actually clone your own, and I've got another video about that. But if you just want a generic voice, let's say Theo here, then what we can do is just get voice ID and pass that back into the second part of our JSON, which is the voice ID parameter here. We've then obviously passed in the full copy, like we said, from our table here, and we're hitting the generate endpoint for API. You need to obviously set up your Heygen API key, which is x-api-key, and then you can access your Heygen API key from the settings up here, subscriptions and API, and then you can grab your API key there. It's then very straightforward from that point. You're actually just waiting for the AI video to be processed. So what we do is we just pull the video status.get endpoint with the video ID as a query parameter, again with our header auth. And all we're doing is saying, okay, every 2 minutes, let's ask it if the video is ready. And if it's not, or if it's equal to processing, we go and loop that back round. If it is ready, then we actually take that video. We just do a generic HTTP request to get the video or download the file in our NAN instance and then upload it to Google Drive. From there, we take the Google Drive link and we just pop it in the output draft column. So that actually then you've got a full system to go from competitor brand URLs through to scraping all of their different adverts that are active and including the contents here. So you can literally see all your competitors' contents, through to scripting and drafting a full UGC ad, being able to edit multiple of those and approve or draft multiple of those. And from that point, all we need to do is go back into our workflow, hit test workflow at the bottom, and then you're able to create fully fledged UGC ads like we have here in ArcAds, like we've shown here with Creatify, and like we've shown here with Heygen. So I hope that massively speeds up your ad creation process and shines a light on how you could do this yourself. If you want to grab the template, then head down to the description below and join the school community. We've got nearly 500 members there who are all learning about how to implement these kind of flows to leverage AI in their business and save a ton of money. Thank you so much for watching.